we don't document easily. One of the reasons is because it has a complexity. It's not that easy. This is the seat you take normally?
No, I take whatever seat the client does not take.
So the client
Sits first. There,
sits
here,
first.
Here, there, anywhere. And I sit in the other seat.
Let me show first what the environment is. So this is one possibility, is this chair. The other one, well, of course, he or she can sit on the floor.
Yes.
The other one is here.
Yes.
You don't have a stage, the famous stage. Why?
I don't do productions of that kind, that size, that scope. This is the action space. That's why there are no pictures on the wall there, so you can project on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I understand.
It's an intimate thing. One-to-one.
Let me start with this. Actually, here you have a number of things you use in your practice with your client, right? Yeah. Yeah. But let me go to this. What's that? What do you use this for?
This?
Yeah.
The thing one thing I use it for a lot is in a group, in a check-in, when people are first coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And I will start at this to see how they're feeling, how they are as they come together in the workshop. So are they feeling open? Are they feeling stretched? Are they feeling wonderfully open? Are they feeling enclosed? Are they feeling prickly? So it's really just a way to express somehow. And there's several benefits of that. And one of them is that it's expressive. The other is that by looking at it, someone can be sort of musing in their mind, and it's like a soliloquy. They're like talking to themselves almost. So it's not looking out at the group and seeing people's faces. It's just really kind of thinking about it and surprising them and saying, "Oh, isn't that interesting? Isn't this great? I wish I had one." They'll say that. So it sort of takes them out of their heads and into the delight of the globe. And it gets also people accustomed to using symbol, to using surprising ways of expressing yourself, surprising not just from your head, but, or I can just be feeling this way if I'm anxious, or, but right now I feel about here, and I think hoping by the end of the session I will feel like this. Or so you could ask them if they wanted, what would you hope at the end of the workshop you would feel more open, or you'd feel less open, exposed, and you'd feel more settled, or whatever. So it can be anything that the person wishes to see.
But I remember when we were in one of the workshops, I think that the last ones you did in Portsmouth, when you used that, I think it was the exercise on conflict. Do you remember how was it?
I would have used it in the same way, going around the circle, passing it from one person to the next. But it may be, how are you when there's conflict? That might have, so you might, if you know, or how do you feel, if it's a sexuality workshop, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about conflict? Well, you know, I'm just like this, or just make my day, you know, open to it, or I just want to become invisible so nobody will see me and the conflict will go right through and out the other side, or so you can give it some content, or just in general how you're feeling to be here. But it's usually about how you're feeling about either being here or the content or something. How are you today?
So when using this in a group, I just propose that,
Yes.
and then the person will expand or not according to.
They play with it a bit. You see, when you're warming up a group, you warm the group up to the I, the we, and the it. So you're warming myself up to the it is the theme. Okay? And it's also being here in the workshop is also it. So by doing this, I'm warming up to myself. I'm figuring out, noticing how I'm feeling. When I'm anxious, my first time here, or I feel really relaxed because I come here because it's been a hectic week, or I've had a long time, and I love coming here to this community. So I just feel absolutely at home here, whatever. So they're warming up to themselves. Then as they watch each person, they warm up to the we, to the group. So they'll realize that you are, you know, feeling prickly. Things that happened at home or at the work or whatever, and you're prickly. Or you don't have any energy to open up. Or whatever is you. So we get to know how Sergio is, and we get to know how John is, and how Mary is. And so we get to warm up to the group. And some people tend to be quite playful, but also quite honest about how they're feeling, or anxious, or so, you know. So you get, when they're closed or open, they can say that much. So it's simple enough that people can say without having to reveal a whole lot of information. And if you just said, how are you feeling? They mightn't say, well, I feel closed. They would start saying, well, I feel fine about being here, thank you, it's good to be here, I know I can learn a lot, whatever. But this is, no, I feel closed, actually. So this, it's kind of a direct way into the energy, feeling energy, emotional energy in the room. And also, you know, it can be, if you say, how do you feel about conflict, or how do you feel about change? They'll say, nope, I'm just right here, buckled right down, no one's going to change me, or I just can't wait, I'm dying to have some change in my life, you know, or whatever. So by warming them up to the theme, you also get, so that would warm them to all three, that once around. Warms them up to the I, the we, and the it. So that's how I've used it.
And it can be used several times in a group with different themes.
Yes, you could. I think it loses some of its surprise. I tend not to use it more than once. Unless I used it at the beginning and the end. How am I leaving, feeling. But I think it loses some of its surprise when you do it. I would use a different exercise in the middle.
Yeah.
Because some of its power is in the surprise. It reminds me of another exercise I was thinking of, where you give everyone a styrofoam coffee cup. You know, an empty coffee cup, styrofoam or cardboard or something like that. You know, empty. And if it was a one on problems and problem solving, and I said, okay, here's a problem. What do you do with it? Well, some people look it around and they study it and they turn it upside down, and you know, other people start picking away at it, and other people just go. And so it's quite fun. It's because, you know, what do you do? Well, you know, I'll give it to you, actually. Say it's somebody else's problem or whatever. But it's just a way to, and so then it is again introducing yourself, the I, the we, and the it. So an exercise which surprises people.
How are you feeling there, knowing, for instance, that there is a camera recording you?
I feel fine.
You feel fine.
I do.
You feel fine. Let's see what we got. Now, let's start with this basket, Liz. How did you come to this basket there and the scarves? How the idea
Well,
came?
Dina Baumgartner from Tucson, Arizona, had scarves like this, and I wanted to know where she got them because they were all different colors. They're so beautiful, and they are also are soft, and you can do different things with them, and they're washable, and they're all different colors. So, and they all are finished at the edges, so you don't have to hem them. So I thought they were wonderful. So I've ordered several of them, several sets of them, and give them as gifts. I went to Cambodia, I left a set there for people because I think. So and then I had to have. So I put them in the basket. So that has become. Everywhere I go, I take my scarves, and it's because I think they have multiple uses and color. People respond to color. They invite spontaneity. So I will put the whole pile of them in the middle, for example, to start a workshop. And I'll say, there is the workshop. So place yourself near or far as you feel. So if you feel really keen and all ready to go, you stand here. And if you feel mediocre, I'm watching here. And if I feel here, I wish I had never come, I should be gardening. You're back here. So it's like it's a focus. Again, it's like that. It's a focal point that allows people to be there. And sometimes I'll say, okay, we'll put them there and take a color that's yours. And somebody might say, well, I'll take yellow, and I'll stand back here, and I'll take yellow, and I'll say, well, I'll take yellow because I'm here. I'm glad to be here, but I'm also aware of outside, and I'm yellow because the sun came out finally. So, oh, so glad. So I'll take yellow. And people tend to put them around them like this. And even people who thought it was a bit odd at the beginning, you establish the fact that people are allowed to be in or allowed to be out. They're allowed to have a different state of mind when they come in. They're allowed to, and I say to them, if somebody else chooses the color that you were going to choose, just wait, because you can have it when they've spoken. You can have it. So it's not a competitive issue here. And notice yourself if you say, I wanted that one, but oh well, I'll take this one. So you watch yourself and your choices. So just use the space. So I use it that way. I'll use it in this room for, what feelings do you have about some issue that you're working with, or how do you present yourself? Well, the first part I present is beautifully turned out. It's out in front. It looks great. My clothes are perfect. That's the first thing. And what's behind that? Well, behind that is a big wall. So somebody says, what's the wall made of? Well, they may take something from here or from there, or they may just say there's the big wall there. Okay? So then I'll have them become the wall, and let's see what you're like, or not. I'll wait. And then what's next? Well, there's my anger, which is in here somewhere, whatever color I choose to be angry. That's here, and it's in a ball, or it's spread all over the place, or it comes out sometimes through the wall, or whatever. So it's just a way, again, of focusing in a way that's kind of surprising. And then the very end of it, the very bottom of it, can be, I don't even know what's back in here at the very end of it. Or there's fear in here somewhere. And there's somehow, so people then get to permission to the fact that we always lead with something, and there's some more, and there's some more. And whether maybe anger's at the very bottom, or whether there's despair at the bottom, or loneliness. But there's room for a variety of color, a variety of feeling, a variety of positions. And so if they're talking about later on, kind of refer to them. So you say, so now you're in this pink spot here when you were dealing with your mother that way. Well, now, so you moved to the pink spot. or you brought some of that pink out into the front. So it gives you a frame of reference. So it's like when I use this as for the family, set up your family of origin. So when you were 5 or 6, who's first and where are they? And standing up there is father, right? Okay, or father's on his way out the newspaper, he isn't interested. Mother's there, and where's your sister, and where are you? So then after we're sitting, a month later, and say, well, there's your father up there again in that story you just told me. So it's like it gives us all a visual frame of reference, and I'm visual, so I hold the pictures in my mind. So rather than take notes, the pictures are what I have. So a child in their room, where are you? Well, I'm in my room reading. So they'll take a color and go into their room and be reading, and I'll remember that, and they'll remember that. And so they'll say, well, I went for a walk with the dog, and I sort of like being in your room reading, like going for a walk and looking at another world. And so it's very, it's evocative. You can use it for anything. So, and if I'm doing a group, I put them in a circle. I often use it to show the sociometric cycle. I put it out here for my clients and say, imagine a circle with 4 quadrants.
Mm-hmm.
And this quadrant is the spring, and this blah blah. This quadrant is summer. This quadrant is autumn, and usually autumn, but that's where they're sitting because it's the turbulent time. And there's winter, and so I'll use it for demonstrating theory practice. I use it for from reaction to response, where your circle is here, your circle is here, going around, and somebody else's circle is here. And our 2 circles intersect, and that's the relationship. And so I have to know what's going on in me and see what's going on in you. So it's like I use it for the models of teaching that I have, of the models of relationship and role development. So I do that, and I use it for role development. So this is the role perception, when you first have an idea about what a role is. And then comes role expectation, where you think, well, I could do that, maybe I could try that. That's the next step. And then the next step is taking the role. See what happens when I take it. So I either, if it works badly, I go back and say, I know what that's like. That's like suicidal to do that. I'm not doing that. You make fun of you when you do that. So I go back here to nowhere. Or if it works well, then I'll take the role and play the role and co-create the role. And then I do that a long time. And then sometimes it's overdeveloped. Sometimes it's, I always have to do it. So that's how I describe do role theory with that. And then they need new roles, which you start over here again with role perception. So, and that's, people can follow that. People like it, they can see it, it makes sense. I'll get them just to walk the line themselves. I used it in Bangladesh with the women's role of women and what keeps them stuck in that role and won't let them try new roles. So won't let ourselves try a new role. So that's, I use it for illustrating.
The fact that we are using scarves, what this has to do with men and women? Is there any identification more? Because scarves could be more for women or for men. What was your experience about that?
Well, it hasn't. I'm sure it hasn't. It makes a difference. I had a student who says men don't do scarves, and so at one point we thought of getting all the single socks that were left in the laundry. When you always end up with one sock, that we stuffed all those socks. You'd have stuffed socks that you could use, which would be fine. But I just have happened to have, and a lot of my work is with women, and so I just use them. And anyone could do it. You could have a variety of things if you wanted to put.
I was thinking, Liz, about ties. What do you think about using ties also?
You could use ties.
Oh, and mix with scarves.
You could. I mean, I think there's, well, yeah, you could. There's a little more, you can put this over you or wrap it around you, but you could do that with the towel. 2 people can pull on it, or, yeah, you could use whatever. You can use anything. It's whatever. It's whatever.
I remember in last year in Watras, in a psychodrama we did, where we have used these scarves, one for each role one has.
Yes.
So can you more or less show me about that? How can we use that? In which situation, for instance?
Well, I think that was the one where the protagonist was warming up to the role of being a director. Did Dale did that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, this person was wanting a student who wanted to direct dramas, but was very, very frightened of the role of director.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Dale put the role of director out here, and then she was back here, and she was very frightened. But he asked her what strengths she had in the role that she played as a therapist. She's an art therapist. So what strengths did she have? So she said, well, there was this, and to choose a scarf to be that. So she said, well, I can, I have good intuition about people. Okay. I have done some reading, and I'm intelligent, or whatever. So she brings intelligence. Okay. She brings caring for people. So she chose that, and then I also believe in co-creation, that I don't tell them about their art, they have to discover it, and that's part of directing. Okay, so bit by bit, she began to see what she had that could go and sit in the chair and feel these things that you have, and then she can then begin to see is there something missing, is confidence. Okay, we'll come back and look, and what helped you to become the art therapist, and how can you draw from that to let yourself take it? What do you need in order to take the step to walk to the edge and say, okay, what do I need now? I've got all these things going for me. What do I need to do that? So that was one of the ways that we worked with it. Also, in terms of what your strengths are, these are useful things for exercises about your strengths. So you have to go in before we do work with painful material in the traumatic material is what strength you have as a person, and somebody plays that role for you and holds the thing, and what collegial or what relationship strength do you have with friends that can help you, and someone plays that, there's a color, and what transcendent beliefs do you have, what framework is overarching that can support you, whether it's God or nature or whatever, the universe, something that feels bigger than you, so that you carry those three things always with you into the work you're doing. And so these three people each has a color here, and so if the protagonist doesn't work and gets very tense and anxious, just bring them back here, and they're able to say, I have courage, I can ask for help, the universe is with me always, or something, and just kind of ground them again. So they can become quite powerfully symbolic when they're chosen, and when they're embodied by an auxiliary. And sometimes if you're doing a lot of role reversals, an encounter with a hero. So when you're the hero, you wear this, and when you change back, you wear this. So you this is the mark of who you are. So when you're doing exchanges, you don't lose lose yourself in the role reversal. When this chair, I sit in that chair and I have this, then I'm a hero. Then I'm Mother Teresa when I'm here, And when I'm here, I'm Liz. So with another color. So anyway, there are lots and lots of ways I find to use. I just find them, and often people they'll like the fact that they go like this. So if it's outdoors, they'll even move around to music, or they'll just want the freedom to. And it does something physically when people do that. It brings color into the room. It brings joy into the workshop. Brings joy into the protagonist. Whatever. When it arises out of the action, it's quite wonderful.
That's it?
That's it.
Next?
No. And it was a workshop on sexuality, which we knew would create anxiety in the participants. It was on the erotic, and there was a women's workshop on the erotic, and so she put the instruments in the middle, and we got into just I think 4 groups of about 5 or 6 people, and one by one, we would deal with the anxiety we had about the subject. We would go and take an instrument, stand in the middle of the group, and the group would tone. So the group would go, and maybe somebody else, but there would be, each of us would carry a tone that was solid and still and steady and unmovable, and the person in the middle would just keep shaking the thing with their, letting the anxiety move through their body until it was dissipated, till it was gone. And so, and then they put that down, and then another person would go and pick, so that there were people coming and taking and dropping these things in the center all the time from the different groups, and you would take one and come back and shake or knock the two things together, click, 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 or shake or rattle it, or kind of a high-pitched thing. So whatever the instrument was that would reflect the body experience of being frightened or fearful of the subject. And just finally we were just all toning, and the whole group was toning, and the whole group could settle. It's beautiful. Beautiful warm-up. So that was a good use of them. So that's good. That's probably the ways in which I most use it.
Don't you think that the fact that you are having a cup in one of your hands is preventing you from taking one of the objects and showing it more concretely?
Well, I can bring them all out for that matter if you want them, but I don't. This is a rain stick, which I use when there's meditation. I begin it and end it with the rain stick. So I can put these out so people can see it. It's visual mode.
Yeah.
All right. So there's this kind of a soft sound. This is made with paper mache. And this is this is a big one. This is a duct tape and two strings. This is a and this is this. And these are like that. These are First Nations. They're deer claw hook, and you tie it. Or you can see that. This is an African one, made by the African people from the lids of snuff boxes, tins of snuff that were sent to the British colonial people for their snuff, which you breathe in and sniff through your nose, and these were made from the lids of the snuff, so it was available to the people to do. And this is a lovely one that was given to me by Michael Nemetz of Basel in Switzerland.
Yeah, this is also an African instrument.
Yes, it is. It's a karimba. Which I dearly love.
Yeah.
So that, he left it with me. So there. This is broken, but these are similar. They're from Cameroon. So I picked them up different places. I made these.
But how do you carry all these things when you travel?
Sometimes. I have a suitcase with different sections in it. And sometimes I carry the whole thing. Sometimes I don't. And this is the thing I carry everywhere.
Yes, this is the first thing I saw when we met. Yeah.
And these are if a group, to get people in small groups or in pairs off doing something in the group, you just go like that, and the group, it's like people stop what they're doing and you give them the next directions, or you get them back into the whole group or something. So, and I use it at the beginning of of meditation, just to authentic movement in the morning. Marks the beginning of the authentic movement, and it marks the end. So those are very important.
The idea of using this came from?
I don't remember. I don't even remember. I've been using it for so long that I don't even remember. Started. These are most people know, group workers know about these Matryoshka dolls, one inside the other. One time, it was brilliant, one time in a craft shop, I found blank unpainted ones. So we did a series of 4 weekends with the same group of people, and at the end, the last weekend, we gave these out and people painted all of the parts of self from the inside to the outside, and they painted their own. And there was one woman who was unable to do it, and 6 months later she brought the embroidery that's in the hall there of the figures embroidered on a quilt. So that was quite fun. This is a workshop we did up north, a residential workshop, and I got dolls that had no hair and no features, just plain cloth dolls. And a lot of different materials and a lot of different kind of stuff like this. And people, the women over the week, made whatever clothing felt right for them and embroidered on the doll itself. I have a heart embroidered in here on the doll, and it spoke to them. And a First Nations woman who has since died actually did a whole thing with pieces of bark and wood that made like a vest thing and a long skirt, and it was a vest that she had but was not yet ready, she felt, to wear because she hadn't grown into that level of presence and maturity. So she was kind of looking ahead at when she would be able to wear it for herself. Very beautiful. That was something we did one year. And then masks, which are familiar. These are paper mache. And we make the paper, we do it in a day and a half. So the first night we make the masks with paper mache, with a partner, on your own face. So you would make mine on mine. And you put, Vaseline all over, and then you put the paper mache on. And then it hardens, and then in the morning you make the mask. And it can be different things. It could be a part of self you want to bring forward, or what part you're leading with, or anything in particular. And then we put it in action in the afternoon. We present it in action and perhaps interact with one element in the mask. So that's another thing that we do. The other thing which I use a lot of is these, which were made by Fiona Roach. And they represent earth, air, fire, and water, the 4 elements. And I use them, I put them on the floor and ask people to stand where they feel themselves to be in relation to either the workshop or just as a warming up, where are you right now? I did it in terms of one year in a workshop on finding peace in a troubled world, which was about social justice. I put them out and asked where people stood and in relation to the needs and anguish that they felt for people in the world, and they stood in different places, and it was very powerful. I love them.
Yeah, we use that in
Watrous.
In Watrous, yes, exactly.
And if I have a First Nations person in the room, they will sometimes do some teachings about the north and south and east and west, and the 4 directions, and the animals, or the element, the emotional element, or like whether it's intelligence or passion or whatever that go with them. I don't do that. I just put earth, air, fire, and water and ask people to find a place.
And what is the use of that patchwork there?
Just stays.
You don't use it. It's just for decoration?
Well, it is for decoration, but it has meaning for me because it's about owning all the parts of self. It's about, it's beautifully made. It was a costume from a ballet. And the mask is lovely. It fits over the head. And it fits right over the head. It goes right down over your face and down the back. So it's beautiful, but because it is beautiful and every part has its place. I love it. And I got it at a little barrow. Somebody was down by the waterfront, had a barrel of different antique things and different odds and ends, and this was there, and I bought it. So that's. This was drawn by somebody, one of my clients who does not draw. Drew that, was her first thing, and the title of it is "I Am Enough." So it's very precious to me. And this was given to me by a First Nations client, which I dearly love. These are the clans: the raven and the bear and the whale and the wolf and whatnot.
Yeah. And what about this bear here?
This beautiful bear.
Yeah.
So.
And these ones.
Oh, these
we
ones?
have bears.
Yep.
Bear. We have a rabbit. It's Peter
Yes,
Rabbit.
Yes, we do.
It could be Peter
Or
Rabbit.
Flopsy. Looks more like Flopsy to me. It's pink and like Flopsy with the long floppy ears. Yep. I used to use them a great deal when I did work with what we used to call multiple personality disorder. Now is identity disorder and dissociative identity disorder. And different ages of child would do different things. This is often just given to someone to hold on to. It just makes them feel safer, and maybe a younger part of self. They're just somebody who was 6 years old and didn't know what to do, or a younger part that didn't get listened to. So just beginning to develop the self-parent, the self-soother.
To warming up.
Warming up to it, to soothing themselves, to bringing the young child into the room somehow with us. Sometimes it becomes, if I do a family sculpture, it could be their brother, or it could be could be someone else. It could be another person in their social atom. And it's stones from the stone workshop. So they're
the stones. Where the stones are.
There's some stones down here.
So how do you use these stones?
Well, I use these actually for plants, for flowers that grow in the fall and the autumn, paper whites. But I use stones for the stonework, the stone sculpture that people make. And sometimes people will take a shell or a stone to represent somebody in their social atom. But mostly now what I use these for is I put the bulbs here and they grow up around through the glass.
But you use them also for the trademark exercise?
No, I haven't, because you need many more than that. You need bags of them for that. So that's it.
That's it?
And then here are my supplies.
The hidden part of it.
So these are things like paints and colored things and more scarves. And here's the bungee I was going to tell you about.
What's that?
The group gets in it.
It's elastic.
Yes, it's a bungee.
It's a bungee.
So people get in there and they trust, and I trust you to, can I spring across there and trust that you'll catch me on the other side. Some people feel on the outside, some people feel pulled way out, some people feel right on the inside, some people feel half in, half out. Some people, it's just fun.
Yes, this is excellent.
Yes, this is fun.
Yeah, this is really, really good.
Yes, so that's that. And I have clay. I use clay in the Defenses Workshop, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Clay. And to
Clay
clay
in
to,
the Defenses Workshop.
oh, perhaps I didn't in Miami.
No, in Miami we.
Half a day, so.
Yeah. Okay.
So usually we're
What for the clay?
well, we look at for all the defenses and we do all that, and then we do a visualization, and your defense comes to you, a picture of who that is, what that looks like. And then I have people create that out of clay. So if it's the tank, or if it's in a cave, you see someone will do a cave with a little figure inside or something, and then we put that into action, and people interact with it and thank it for how it's been helpful for a long time. But you know, we've learned some new things that you don't need to have a cave so much now. So that's what I do. I also use these. These are magnets. So I will use them in supervision or in a group. So I will spread them all out. I'll spread them all out, all magnets. Here's a bundle buggy for the grocery store. Here's a meat grinder. Here's a little figures. So all of these different things, and I spread them out. Here's money. Here's a butterfly. Here's a rolling pin. Here's a mountain. Whatever. And I give people one of these, or they can use the lid, or they can use a box. And they'll have instructions. So if it's supervision group and I'm getting to know them, I'll ask them to choose something to represent what they really like about their work. What are their strengths? One thing that they don't like, and one thing that's missing. So they'll put positive, negative, and missing, and they place it wherever they want, in whatever. And then they can roll reverse with it, or they can just talk about it, or whatever, and how we're going to get to develop whatever it is they need to develop. So it's another. Anthony Williams uses them a lot in Australia. So.
And of course, music.
Pardon?
Music. The Sony.
Yes. Well, that's not a particularly good one, but I do use music.
What about these candles?
The candles? They're for the grief workshop. I use candles for a ritual at the end. Everybody chooses a candle the workshop is based around one loss.
If only.
Yeah, it's based around one
That's
loss.
the one I did in Portsmouth.
Yes, that's right. And so you think of someone who died, and you put them a little card with their name on it, and this in a central sort of altar kind of place. And then we do the exercises one after the other all through the day. And then at the end we place them all on the floor with the flowers and the stones. That's another place I use the stones. Flowers and stones and water. And we play some music, and we just honor the people who died. Light the candles and honor them. So that's what I use those for. And these are cards which Esty brought me from Israel, and they are wonderful. She used them with us. These are called saga cards. I don't think we used these. She brought me 3 sets. We used one of them. I don't think it's the saga ones. No, these are the ones that we used with her. I don't have, but you put these out, and then you can ask people to take one or 2 or 3 or whatever. So in my Day of the Spirit, I was asking people to take one about that represents a new part of self and something that they're letting go of. And these are persona ones. These are people. Different. These are. I don't know. Yeah, these are people. which you can use any way you want. And then these are personita, little children.
This is for more small groups or dyads, or when we work with one person.
I could work with one person. You can have. She did them up in the group with. So there were a lot of us up there, to 12, I guess. So we were all working with them. The ones that she had that I thought were very interesting were. They were freeform. They were abstract. And we chose an abstract one, and then we put it on a page, an 8 by 11 page, and we expanded it. We expanded the drawing. We made it fill the page. Like we drew more points out this way or more whatever. It was still abstract, but we expanded it. And as we worked with it, they became very important to us. And so when we shared that with each other, it was very, very interesting and very evocative. And our dramas afterwards, we brought the cards with us to our dramas when we did a piece of work. So it was very powerful. It was wonderful. And I don't have those. That's another set that she had. And then these ones are coping, and they're more. They are for people who have lived, who have lived with trauma a lot. They're more. They have in them positive things like heart, like the heart. They're called coping, and they're different. And there's some really positive things, but there are also some very sort of evocative, difficult ones that are. Some of them are quite wonderful. Some of them are not so.
Where are these cards made? Israel?
Storytelling cards, Nord, Vacations, Israel. Tivon in Israel. That's where she lives.
Well, actually, to summarize, you can go and on and on and on and on. I mean, the
stimulus can be anything.
Anything. And because we will be at the end of the tape in 37 seconds, a little bit more than that. So, conclusion.
You can use anything.
To what?
To warm yourself up to yourself, to the group, to whatever the group is here for.
Yeah. Thank you.